Okay, Mindset by Design crew. So you've had my awesome intro as always. And you know, today is a very special guest, I'm completely pumped about connecting with this gentleman. And we're going to jump into his brain for sure. Stefan, how are you, sir?
Fantastic, brother. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, mate. You're looking all fresh and good and healthy.
Life's been good, man. Been focusing on every area of my life and especially my health lately too. So my energy's been great. It's been, I've actually switched to the ketogenic diet as well, and that's contributed a lot to my energy and it's kind of how I perform each day too. So, but yeah, man, I'm feeling good.
Wow, keto, right? I've just had I don't know if you know this gentleman, Sean Wells.
Yeah,
Do you
I
know
know
Sean? Yeah, I should connect you to, especially around that. He's a monster, and he's helped so many people in the keto world, and he's also the #1 formula creator in the world, man. He's amazing guy. You two will get on really well. But keto, hey, interesting. Do you find like, because everyone just always like focuses on like, and this drives me crazy about the coaching world in general, but we'll get into all of that. Everyone's just focused on like pushing and grinding and accumulating and buying, and you're only successful with the cars, the houses, and the internet marketing world has gone crazy with not just funnels, but it's gone crazy with just showing the bling, man. Does it drive you as crazy as it does me?
It does because, it's so funny because I have a YouTube channel with about 700,000 subscribers and 35 million views. And, oftentimes I want to share and teach things that I believe is incredibly valuable. I know it's incredibly valuable to people, but oftentimes I'll spend a lot of time creating this high level video or something really deep on mindset or something that can really help people, but it won't do as well compared to videos that I might do or topics that are more, here's how I made this amount of money, or here's this, how this person changed their life here. And so sometimes what I've kind of learned to accept with it is that you have to give people what they want and then you give them what they need, right? Because sometimes the mindset components or, having patience and delaying gratification, these things that are such important that lead to the success, people sometimes they don't want to hear it. It's not that sexy or marketable. So it does drive me crazy, but I think, a bit of that is marketing today and people have shorter attention spans and, it's just part of the game.
That is what it is, man. How long you had your YouTube channel for?
It's over 7 years now. Wow. Yeah, 2012.
Wow. What do you think the secret was behind that? Because 700,000 these days, that's a monster number anyway. But these days, that you're playing in a pool of so many different people who are all trying to get those eyeballs, right? So what do you think? What do you think the difference is?
It's consistency, like with anything. Those that are consistent in terms of adding value. And, I've consistently for the last 7+ years been creating tons of content every single week. And at the beginning, there's times, of course, with anything that you don't see the results. You're putting this energy and effort and nobody's watching it. You're not getting the recognition, but it's enjoying the process. And I've always believed that every piece of content that I create, regardless of whether or not anybody consumes it, I benefit from it, because when I teach something, I have to integrate it on a much deeper level. And when you teach something, you have to learn it twice. So it actually helps me first and foremost. And then if one other person can benefit from it, amazing. And I think by actually starting, back in 2012, people have been able to see my journey, because when I started, I used to have hair, I used to look different. I was at a different stage in my life. And so people can see that what I'm sharing, what I'm talking about actually works, because I've seen the transformation over the years, which is pretty rare to actually see that history over that period of time. Oh, you cut out. I can't hear you, man.
I love that, man. We're back. It's Panama internet, buddy. Panama internet. I love that, man. I really do, because although you're doing it for you, of course you're doing it for everybody else, but I love that. I love that distinction, man, because everybody's trying to get external validation, constantly trying to get external validation. And that's what we're talking about, the cars, the houses. But with you, it's just simply zero attachment. and giving, right? And the benefit of that is the ROI for you. Yes, you're going to help someone, but for you, you get that consciousness growth. You get that lesson. You get that internal, that internal growth, man. That no one said that before.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the biggest driving forces in my life, because, you know, making more money is great, and that will come through adding value. That will come through creating products and services that serve people and people enjoy it. But you can't delude yourself in thinking that having more money is really going to amplify your happiness or joy that much. I believe that money is a tool. It's great to earn it, and it's the byproduct of adding value. But I like to use money to reinvest it in myself, my own growth, investing it in getting more freedom in my life, to outsource things, the things I don't want to do, and leverage it for that, or to travel and have certain experiences, or coaches or mentors like yourself, giving contribution. Those are things that I like to use money for. But I think the one thing that's been constant is growth in my life. I'm always learning. I'm always going to seminars, hiring coaches, reading, studying. And now I just get to do that and share it with people online. And things that I already do myself, I get to share it, and I benefit and they benefit from it as well. And I think just being transparent in that way and being authentic, that's something that people resonate with.
Beautiful. You just said the magic keyword, right? And I think that's what stands out. Not just definitely with yourself, but because look, we're just talking, right? But I think that's what's standing out with the, not just with the marketing world, yes, but really just, I think the world. It's right. The people that are starting to really stand out are the people that are just being themselves. I say this about Hollywood. I've used this analogy a million times, but it's like, look at Hollywood. Hollywood's like the best marketing machine that ever was, right? It's like the rest of the world thought America was like Hollywood, right? That's how good they were at marketing. But who are the people that we remember? You know, the Brad Pitts, right? The people like that. Who are they? Well, they're just themselves. Everybody else goes to Hollywood and tries to be Brad Pitt, right? They don't, everybody. But the Brad Pitt is him. And do you think that YouTube, maybe let's just talk about YouTube. Do you think because it's so anybody these days can pick that camera up, and anybody has that ability to jump on, people are smelling that BS? You know, the old cheesy motivational speaker, right? Be like me, but no, be like you. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. You know, I think, you know, oftentimes, you know, it is finding yourself. You know, it is finding out who you really are, what your strengths are. I know for myself, when I first got into self-development when I was 17, my mentors and role models and people that I looked up to that changed my life were the Tony Robbins and, you know, the Brian Tracy's and the Jim Rohns and all these people. And I thought that I had to kind of be like them. And, you know, I created this pressure on myself, comparing myself to them in some, you know, different stages of their life as well. But you just have to realize that we all have our own journey, you know, and by being yourself, being authentic and true to yourself, it's not only important for you, but it is, people are going to actually connect with you a lot better. Now, I do think there's maybe a component where you can actually take pieces from people and integrate them to be a part of yourself, because we're not just one dimensional, right? We have multiple identities and personalities, right? And so I you know, kind of like the Bruce Lee approach, where he says, you know, he kind of took from all the different schools of martial arts and created something uniquely his own. And I kind of look at the self-development world in the same way. But I definitely think you're going to be way more effective when you learn to accept yourself. Like, I'm more by nature an introvert. You know, that's my nature. I can be extroverted. I have those traits, but it just requires more energy for me to do that. And I used to always think that I had to be an extrovert. You know, I have to be more extroverted, more talkative, instead of embracing my introversion and realizing people connect with that as well. There's a market of people that connect with that person. And there's a market for everybody, because some people, you know, there's a Tony Robbins out there, and some people don't like Tony. They think he's too loud and obnoxious, and they relate more with the Brian Tracy, who's more quiet and subdued. Some people think Brian Tracy is too, you know, boring, so they prefer to, you know, there's someone for everybody. And I think that's the thing, is that it comes down to accepting yourself and seeing the power and strength and just who you are.
It's beautiful. And that is the truth, right? And that's hard. I think that's hard in today's society, when we're talking about a constant barrage of social media, a constant people becoming addicted to the algorithm, the dopamine hit constantly, right? And the guys know what they're doing. they know what they're doing. But unfortunately, it's literally changed society globally, right?
Yes. And it's really also exposed people's insecurities that, you know, not a lot of people out there are truly secure, but if you're insecure, it's going to amplify that even further. And if you're really someone who's driven by significance in life, right, where, you know, the need to feel important and unique, then it can actually, it's going to amplify that, right? But not everyone's driven by that. And so I think some people, you know, they're not, you know, driven by significance, they're driven by other needs. But, you know, if you don't have the right mindset, it can definitely cause a lot of negative harm to it. I notice for myself, I try to distance myself from social media. I use it more to create and share rather than actually consume. And so I try to limit the time that I spend, and I just go to share something. And I also notice too, because we can actually be addicted to acceptance and validation. I notice if I'm addicted to how many likes that I got or comments or whatever people are saying. So I actually try to distance myself from that and just, I'm doing this as a contribution. I'm not doing this for recognition. I don't care how many likes it got. And I just post it and I move about my day. Right. And then if I do want to, you know, follow someone and kind of see what they're up to, I'll do it more strategically than reactively. So I'll go, you know, I wonder what they're posting on their Twitter, but I'm not letting it consume me as much. I think a lot of people do. And I think that's where the damage can come.
That's huge. Again, we go back to you just being present with what you're putting out, and you're just putting it out, right? And whatever happens, happens.
Exactly.
That's huge, man. I love that about you. So let's rewind the clock. Let's talk about that, because 17 is damn early.
Yeah.
So we're getting involved in that, man. So where the hell did that come from? Was that a parent? Was that just you deciding, okay, that's what we're doing? Where did it come from? Pain? What happened?
Yes. Just like with most stories, it was hitting rock bottom, you know, desperation, a lot of pain in my life. And when I was in high school, I had a troubled childhood, you know, relationship with my dad and everything. And, you know, when I was in high school, I was very shy and introverted, and I avoid school a lot. I skipped school. I was not a good student, always a C student. And I found ways to escape through video games because I felt so insignificant in my own life that video games was a way for me to enter into this fantasy world, right, where I could be whoever I wanted to be. I could, you know, in a way, like I could become good at it. I was competent. I had a sense of community. I was fulfilling all my needs and whatnot. But, you know, it was just a way for me to escape. And it became a very serious addiction where I would spend all day, all night just doing that. And what happened was, you know, it kind of stacked a lot of pain in school of me liking certain girls and, you know, having a crush and getting my heart broken. There's this one girl that I, you know, fell in love with essentially when I was 16, 17 years old. And she broke my heart and I was devastated. You know, I watched all the, you know, fairy tale movies, the Hollywood movies that, you know, you meet that person, you fall in love, happily ever after. Did not work out that way for me. So I hit rock bottom, and I realized that I needed to change myself, but I didn't know how or that it was possible. And thankfully I discovered, you know, people like Tony Robbins and Paul McKenna and these different, you know.
Paul McKenna too. Interesting.
Yeah, Paul McKenna and whatnot. And the big area that I actually focused on first was more my dating life. So I got really into David D'Angelo, which is known as Evan Pagan. He's like the guy out there. And because at that stage of my life, I just wanted to change my social skills, my confidence, and to meet women. I didn't really care about money at that stage, but that was my focus. And I went on a journey of going out when I was 17, 18 years old and meeting a community in Vancouver, Canada, which is where I'm from. And we'd go out and, you know, approach women and face my fears. It just led down the rabbit hole of self-development. Got rid of all the video games, stopped watching TV, and just became addicted to self-development. And that was probably the best decision I ever made.
Oh, for sure it was. For sure it was, because isn't it crazy that people are earning millions and millions and millions of dollars from video games now? It's
insane now. Yeah, exactly. Now it's justified because it could be a career for people.
Yeah, I mean, esports is a whole different conversation. It's funny that what did they say? That the esports, like the version of the Super Bowl, is as big as the Super Bowl, like the NHL, everything combined in America. The esports is bigger. Think about that. That's great. I love it though. I love it because People are still following their hearts. Now, was it for you? No, it's definitely not for you. Your purpose was to definitely help millions of people, right?
Yeah,
Some people
like
are just interested in street fighter.
Yeah, just like with anything, it depends where you're coming from with it. Are you coming from a place of insecurity? You're trying to escape something. You know, you're doing it. It becomes an addiction, and there's a negative consequence to anything. Anything can be overly abused. You know, whether it's alcohol or marijuana or whatever it might be. So, you know, it's kind of looking at why, like even for example, for me, when I was going out to meet women and got into that whole sort of thing, it was out of the wrong reason as well. And even people start business and make money to kind of fill that void, to fill something within themselves. And so, you know, you're not going to fill it by anything external, and it comes from healing yourself from the inside first.
And isn't it interesting? Because I know you've worked with tons of high-end people, you know, and it's like, it doesn't seem to matter what level of income that person is earning. And I've worked, like, and I'm sure you've done it yourself, but I've worked with like billionaire royalty. And okay, let's look at that. The money, yeah, well, they're okay for money, right? They're okay for everything external. But why are they still in pain? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because they've never connected with this. They've never had to go internal. And to me, it's like you see even billionaires or people who are just obsessed with chasing accumulation of money. Yeah. When you get under it all the bling, they're never content. No. They're never, you know, when they're on their own. It was interesting. There's a story, like an old client of mine, and he lived in this, and again, I apologize, crew, if you've heard all this before, but he lived in a beautiful house on the Hollywood Hills, this guy, right? And he had a friend who, he said she was a beautiful woman, really funny, really nice, and was worth $100 million. And he said he walked into her house, and he said he felt ashamed of his house, right? Because he couldn't even see the other end of hers. It was just ridiculous. And there's no, well, whatever, right? There's no need for that, but whatever. But he said he used to get messages off her constantly because on a Saturday night, she'd be sitting at home, lonely and sad. Yeah. And I think that changed me inside because it makes you realize that you can have anything, the biggest house, the biggest car, but you can feel more empty and sad and lonely than anything else. And that's also why I like Panama, because I see the extremes. One, it keeps me constantly humble and grateful. But the other side of it is you see people who have nothing. But what does that mean? Who are so content, so present, so living in the moment. And when I first came to Panama, man, it was crazy because I walked down the street and there was all these people just sitting on the benches. Not one of them was on the phone. They were looking at the sky. They were talking to each other. It kind of freaked me out for a minute. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, what reality, what perspective have I been living in? You know, it's a weird contrast, right?
It is. And I think, you know, it's kind of the result of someone that just focuses on mastering one area of their life, but they neglect the other ones. And, you know, my brand is Project Life Mastery.
Exactly.
Because, you know, our life encompasses many different areas that we need to develop, and they all influence one another, right? Your health, your mindset, your emotions, your relationships, your business, your finances, your spiritual life. And if you just focus on one area but not the others, then you're not going to have that balance. You're not going to be as fulfilled as you can be. And I always try to make sure that I don't lose sight of what's most important, right? There might be times you go out of balance, right? You got to focus more on your business or relationship or your health, but you got to return back to that center in your life and not lose sight of the foundation, right? Which is your health and your mindset and your spiritual life, right? Those are what going to make the biggest returns in your life and your relationship too, of course. But, you know, just always making sure you don't lose sight of that because the money's not going to be the solution for it.
Never is. So how the heck did you get into affiliates, mate?
You know, well, you know, I love to learn, right? As you know, as I shared with you, I'm always growing and improving. And you know, when I was building my YouTube channel, my audience, my blog and podcast as well, I was just always coming across great products and training programs and seminars and courses that were benefiting me. And for me, because on my journey, I've been so transparent with it, I've just naturally wanted to share with people what I was doing. And a lot of the products and you know, that I was going through and benefiting from, they had affiliate programs. And so I learned that one of the best ways you can make money online is you can earn a commission just by sharing them, right? You have an affiliate link, you provide that for someone, they click it, if they go ahead to buy it, then you earn a commission. And it's no extra cost to the consumer, right? And it's automatically tracked within 30 days. And it's a win-win, right? It's a win for everybody. So it just made sense for that. And it was just great. And I just always had to make sure that what I would share is helpful for people and also for myself. If something does help me, I'm usually pretty passionate about it and want to share that with other people. So as I go throughout my journey in life, whether it's books and trainings and seminars and resources that I come across and benefit from, I share that with my audience. And I've been able to do that now and build, you know, incredible income from that, a 7-figure income just from affiliate marketing alone. That's
amazing. That's amazing. Is it something you still love to do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's, you know, certain, you know, I have my own courses and trainings and my areas of expertise that I like to teach, but there's other ones that people come to me for, but I'm not the teacher on it. I'm not really the expert. It's not really my passion. So for example, a lot of people, I have some great content out there and about how to sell on Amazon. And I've had my own Amazon business. My fiance, Tatiana's got a very successful business on Amazon and Shopify. And people always, you know, come to me, Stefan, where should I start or how can I get started? And I don't want to personally teach it. So I share with them the course that I went through and that tons of people have benefited from, called Amazing Selling Machine. So I've shared that with my audience. And as being an affiliate, I've created some bonuses, some of my courses that can help support people along the way with my areas of expertise. But that's just, you know, an example of it is I don't want to create my own Amazon course. That's not really my focus, but if people come to me, then here's a great one that I can share with them. And so that's kind of how I look at it, is that, you know, there's my areas and my strengths that I like to focus on, and these other additional things I can share that with people for them to benefit from.
I love it, mate. I love it. Just giving again. And those guys we spoke about just before we jumped on, those guys are amazing. If you don't know Amazing Selling Machine or amazing.com, those guys they're just special guys. You know, they do care. And I was saying before, like Jason Katzenbach, I worked with him for a couple of years as he was just launching all that. And then he's been on the podcast in the early days, but such a nice, and he's been through such emotional things himself. And I just see him brings in more passion into his life, more passion and more reason for why he's doing this job. And I absolutely love that, man. And again, it's funny what pain does to us. It either crushes us or we have a platform to push off and create, well, the diamond, right? The cheesy saying the diamond, but it's true, man. So what's it like having a power partner? You go, man, you go.
Yeah, you know, I've been with Tatiana for about 5 years now, and it's been amazing fast, right? Because what's that?
That goes fast, right?
Oh, it does. It's amazing. But, you know, just kind of seeing her growth and how we've grown together. You know, it's always crazy when you look back at photos and everything, but I'm very blessed to have someone that's very aligned with me in my life. Like, she loves self-development as much as I do. She, you know, we go to all the same seminars and events together. We share so many ideas. She's into health and fitness. She's very spiritual. She's now built a 7-figure business. You know, we're so similar on so many different levels. And that actually has allowed both of us to grow so much faster than we ever could alone. And we share the same mission in life of wanting to help and serve in the same way. And so it's been incredible. And, you know, it's just, I'm excited for the future of what is yet to come, because the self-development work you do, you're just laying the foundation at first, but the real rewards come 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. Because I always look at it, I'm planting seeds, and then the seeds will sprout in the next 5 or 10 years.
I like that, man. So that's why you've got multiple income streams set up, because you're literally going, I'm already in the future. I know if I keep sprinkling these things, it's going to pay off. Hence the YouTube channel and all this. That's one of the biggest things I kick myself at, because the YouTube channel, guess what? Just like millions of other people. I started one probably 7 years ago. It was awesome. I was traveling around Bali doing all these things. But again, I wasn't the marketer. So I limited myself at the time, thinking that I had to have people around me to be able to show me how to do that. Instead, all I had to do was be consistent. So I've just launched a new channel now. This is what you're going to be on, obviously speaking. But I look up to you a lot in a lot of different ways, bro, because there's so many things that I see in myself. I wasn't ready, right? That's because, again, I go back to when in New Zealand, when I got crushed, when I was doing this big development, and you don't realize after going through bankruptcy and nervous breakdown, putting together this $100 million project, and then everything crumbling and starting again. Well, to me, I'm just carrying on in life. But no, that caused such a block in my life, you know? And I obviously moved past it, but that took such work, you know?
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah, you know, and it is challenging too, because, you know, you're more of a coach. Like you have an amazing skill set. You're like the artist. And, you know, oftentimes someone in that position, they're not maybe, you know, you almost like need someone to compliment you on that other side, right? Like the technical stuff. Like for me, I don't enjoy that stuff. I enjoy just speaking and creating content. And I had to learn all and do pretty much everything as most people do when they first start their business. But thankfully now I'm in a position where I can have a team that can support me and do the things that I don't want to do. But you know, that is for people first starting out. You know, you're gonna have to wear multiple hats and do everything yourself.
That's what you got to do.
You know,
but you've just been in some like in some amazing magazines and everything recently, right?
Yeah,
I know with some powerhouses too.
It's been amazing. Yeah, as an entrepreneur, sharing my story, and got an article on Forbes coming out soon, and CNBC and a few others. So it's been great.
Love it, mate. I love people kicking ass and winning. I really do, mate. I really do. So, little question. Everyone as an entrepreneur thinks that they look at the end result, right? They look at that moment in time, the screenshot, the snapshot where somebody's made it. But what they don't understand, that our journey is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't stop, right? And there's not one day in that 24 hours, there's not moments of bitness, right? We're not always going up. No, there's emotion. It's a constant emotional roller coaster. And that could be from whatever it is, just dealing with the expectation we put on ourselves to constantly perform, right? And that's what I specialize in, is performance, high performance. And so with you, how do you handle this stress? How do you handle each day? How do you handle those, setting yourself up in the mornings? How do you put all this together, man?
You know, I have certain rituals and habits and mindsets that I make sure that I live by. And one of the ways that I changed my life when I was 17 and continued for the last 15, 16 years now has been morning rituals. Making sure that every single morning, before I start the day, before I do work, before I check email, before I do anything, I always have to make sure that I prioritize myself. No matter what's going on, I have to make sure that I build and cultivate that relationship with me. So I love rituals. I mean, I spend 15 minutes to an hour, sometimes 2 hours in the morning on me. And, you know, I believe that you got to do something every morning for your mind, your body, and your spirit. You know, you got to have that balance there. So there's certain things I do physically for my health, you know, whether it's drinking water, whether it's certain juices or intermittent fasting or certain supplements, or going to the gym, or doing yoga or stretching or a coffee enema, whatever it is. There's things that I do to make sure physically that I'm at my best, and that allows me to handle whatever shows up, you know, throughout the day. So I've got to make sure I take good care of my body. That will help support the energy that I need throughout the day. I got to make sure I do something for my mind each morning as well, whether it's feeding it with positivity or conditioning it. So reading books, podcasts, or YouTube videos, something inspirational. But I'm a big fan of conditioning myself. And I know you're a big NLP person. And I like to condition myself with certain affirmations that I say out loud, and I try to anchor those emotional states. Sometimes I take inspiring quotes and put them on flashcards, and I speak those out loud and anchor those within myself. Or I change my focus on things that make me feel grateful or happy or excited or committed or passionate. I make sure that I give myself the emotional resources that I need for that day so I can also be at my best. And then I always do something for my spirit, you know, whether that's just connecting with my spirit, whether that's meditation and calming the mind and being in silence. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe it's an act of kindness or contribution. Maybe it's, reading something sacred, something spiritual as well. And I find by just spending time on those three components, you're starting off the day in a proactive way. You're starting off the day at your best. And when you constantly condition yourself to be your best, not every day, of course, you'll be at your best, but when you have that standard, it's going to influence the rest of your day. And I noticed that when I take the time to do that, how I react and respond to things is very different versus if I just wake up and I'm reactive, as most people are. They hit the snooze button, right? They try to sleep in, and that's already setting off the day to the wrong foot, and then they, drink their coffee and, have, unhealthy snacks and stuff, check their social media. If you have a ritual like that, then it's going to, affect the performance that you have throughout the day. So I think it starts with these habits and rituals, and that's always the foundation of everything. And
you've got something coming out all about that, right?
Yeah, I actually have a whole course that I created called Morning Ritual Mastery. I loved it so much that I created a 7-day program on it. But I've got a book that we're releasing right now that shares 67 rituals that you can add to your morning. And so I've broken down, I've done so much research on it. It's the most comprehensive list that's ever been done and researched and created. But 67 rituals, again, some for your body, your mind, and your spirit. So I've got a whole list of basically a menu of options for people because not every day is going to be the same. I go through different rituals, different habits at different stages of my life, but it basically educates people in all the different things that they could do, and they can kind of insert it whatever way they want into their morning.
That's huge, mate. I'm a monster in the morning too, the same. It has to be done. If I don't, it feels like I'm not myself. It feels like, the overwhelm comes or the anxiety comes or I just don't feel present. I don't feel myself. So I'm obsessed with mornings. I meditate every day. Twice I do 2 different things. In the morning, before I get out of bed, I meditate for 20 minutes. I go and sort myself out, and then I meditate and visualize for another 20 minutes. I cannot do my day without it. So you breaking that list down, buddy, I love it. I'm getting that, man, for the simple. I want to see what hacks you've done, dude.
Meditation one's been a big one for me, actually, too. And there's different types of meditation that I talk about. Like I like doing some that's just more calming the mind, some that are more heart-centered, that are based on heart math, right? Because your heart and your brain, they can go in sync. Certain guided meditations. But I think as entrepreneurs, meditation is vital because entrepreneurs have way overactive minds. I don't know about you, man. I've got so many ideas and thoughts and so many things going on that if you don't learn to calm the mind and, make sure that you calm it and you're not always allowing your mind to run you, then I think that's just an essential thing. Like, I don't know how anybody can really perform at their best as an entrepreneur without some sort of practice of meditation in their life. And I had a hard time meditating for a long time, as most people. I still, nobody, part of it, the meditation is the mind comes up. So there's no perfect meditation and it's just calming it. But one thing that helped me was certain technology that's available today. So I use the Muse. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's a headband that you wear around your head, and it syncs with an app, and it reads your brain waves and signals, so it can actually tell you when your brain is active, and it actually measures and tracks your meditation session. So you can actually see all the data on the app, and you also wear headphones too, and you can choose the environment you're in. So if you want to be more by the beach and the ocean and waves, or in the forest, whatever it is, you choose the environment, and what they do is that when your brain is active, the app and the headband recognizes it, and they start to, as you're listening, the wind essentially gets a lot more aggressive. But then it actually helps to bring down and calm the mind by, they kind of guide you to calm the mind, which is really cool. So it's amazing, these technologies now that are available.
Right, what's that app called again?
So it's called the Muse, M-U-S-E.
That's cool. I love that. I'm obsessed with binaural beats and all the rest of it. They're in my ears like constantly, right? But that's huge, man. And I also, with being an entrepreneur, like people don't understand. Obviously, we're switching nervous systems and we're calming ourselves down and we're obviously changing chemicals. But the truth is, the other side of meditation is actually being able to control focus. Right? Because you get used to obviously we're dropping brainwave frequency when we're going into flow states and trance, which is meditation, right? So being able to meditate, what you're able to do is, yeah, we switch the conscious mind off, the monkey mind as they call it, but we are literally being able to hold a focus. And if you can practice that and get better at that, do you think that might help making courses? Do you think that might help closing deals? Do you think that might help launching products? Right? But people don't do it.
And it's so important in the world we live in today because there's so many things, so many distractions. So you kind of have, that's like the antidote, right? The meditation is the antidote to the social media and the grind and the hustle of being an entrepreneur.
So rewind it 3. I know you got to go soon, buddy. So we're going to wrap it up now. But if you could rewind the clock 3 years, what would you do different? Not that everything's not perfect, I get it. But if we could rip that little bit out, replace it, what would you do different?
For me, it would be working smarter by hiring more and leveraging others a lot more. I was doing it a little bit then, but not at the level that I am now. I actually had limiting beliefs that I needed to work with people and really shift around hiring people, more specifically around management. Because as my business was growing and it was just more organically growing, I was putting out content, I was doing what I loved, but I was not able to handle all the demands that was coming with that. Now my YouTube channel has 35 million views and millions more on my podcast and blog. And when you get that many views, you can't handle all the messages and the things that come your way. And I've typically been a people pleaser for most of my life where I want to make everybody happy. And I just got way too overwhelmed and stressed. And I had fears around hiring people. I had, limitations that only I can do this, which is silly. It's all the ego. Nobody can do this as good as I can. Some of the typical things entrepreneurs face, but making that decision earlier would have changed my life in so many ways. And not being afraid to reinvest back into your business. And that's one of the best investments you can make, right? It's giving you more time and freedom to focus on your strengths and what you love. And that's been a huge game changer for me. And yeah, just building those systems, building those teams. And now I've got a great team. I'm hiring even more. I mean, we hired 6 people in the last 3 months and we're still hiring more right now too. But I've actually now become addicted to this. And because now I see the benefit. The benefit is remarkable. And it's just allowing me to be in the role that I need to be in. So I think entrepreneurs, I kind of started as a marketer and then became a business owner, which is a transition, right? Because when a lot of marketers are like a one-man marketing show. Or a solopreneur, but it's not really a business. You kind of have to build a culture and you have to change the things you're learning and develop leadership skills and management skills. So I think a lot of people, they start too late on that. And the sooner that you can recognize the limitation that you have around that or what's holding you back or that fear and address it, it is going to create more freedom, a lot less stress, and allow you to ramp up and scale even faster.
That's awesome. That's massive advice for everyone. That's massive advice. So the final thing we're going to do, bud, a little game I like to play to look inside people's brains a little bit more. I want to know what's automatically programmed in there already, right? So I'm going to ask you a couple of words, and I just want to know what image, what feeling, what pops up, right? Just the first thing that pops up, because everyone listening knows that's what's installed in the unconscious mind. That's what's automatic, right? So when you think of business, what comes up? What thought, what feeling?
Mission. It's a vehicle to live my mission.
What's the feeling?
Purpose, like a sense of purpose in my life.
I love that. And that feels real heart-centered when you said that, man. So I love that. What about money?
It's a tool. Freedom. I think it's a tool that can allow us to experience more, give more, be more.
It's brilliant, man. What about the future?
Exciting, compelling.
Right? Yeah. Right. I love it. What about yourself?
Sorry, myself?
Yeah.
It's love. I really believe in self-love. And, that's one thing I do in the morning is I really appreciate myself and thank myself and feel proud of myself and reinforce myself, right? The more you reinforce and reward yourself for positive actions, then the more you do it. So, yeah.
Amazing, sir. It's been awesome to hang out. Awesome. Where can people connect with you? I'm going to put show notes and links everywhere, of course, but where can people connect with you, bud?
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure. But if you want to learn more about me, my brand is called Project Life Mastery. So projectlifemastery.com, or you can find my podcast or my YouTube channel.
Easy, easy, easy. Stefan, you're a rock star, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to hang out, brother. I'm looking forward to connecting and doing it in real soon. And yeah, mate, it's I'm going to put the links everywhere. And thank you so much.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you for having me.
Boom.